The moment is finally here, everyone. You'll have to excuse my appearance. I mean, I just watched a friggin' 4-hour long movie, so I might look a little tired. The culmination of fan outcry and, of course, the state of the world being the way it is right now, why not essentially bring a new movie to the fans while they can still practice social distancing? As a huge DC Comics fan, I can't even believe I'm about to say this, but today I'm going to be talking about the HBO Max exclusive film, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, before I get into my opinions, I figured it would be fair to make this review as spoiler-free as I possibly can, because, let's face it, it's a 4-hour and 2-minute long film. I get it, some people aren't going to all watch it in one go, and some people might be holding off a few days to watch it because they just don't have the time. I mean, I guess that's why director Zack Snyder broke up the film into specific parts, watch it bit by bit. If you guys are still somehow unfamiliar about what Zack Snyder's Justice League is, or the Snyder Cut, so to speak, essentially, the director of the 2017 Justice League film, Zack Snyder, suffered a family tragedy. Another director stepped in, reshot about a third of the film, and he even butchered some aspects. Fans weren't having it. For years and years, they clamored for Zack Snyder's original vision. And eventually, they got their wish. $70 million worth of budget, some newly filmed scenes, and newly recorded dialogue, all were utilized to give the fans this cinematic epic. So what did I think of the movie? I'm sure y'all already know this, but I fucking love this movie. The opening alone felt so different. I mean, you saw it in the trailers. Superman's last dying breath at the end of Batman vs. Superman, you just see how it ripples and affects everyone in the entire universe. This time around, the soundtrack is different. It's actually got its original composer, and you hear it right away. You hear the haunting sounds of like women chanting throughout the film, and it's just really ominous. There's just so much emotion in their voices. You just get a sense of pain and loss from the orchestral soundtrack alone, right? I mean, just music. So, I mean, sorry, Danny Elfman, as much as I love your previous work, I've already forgot about your orchestral score of this film. Especially in the climax of this film, you start to hear these drums and guitar riffs like dun 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 dun. I mean, hell, it makes me want to go into battle. All in all, the music definitely takes you on a journey in this version. The tone is dramatically different from the previous one. This time around, it's a lot more serious. Don't get me wrong, there is some comedic relief sprinkled in, like there's a scene where one of Darkseid's parademons just goes splat like a bug. I mean, I was dying. But regardless, when you see all these new scenes depicted on screen, you just feel the severity of Steppenwolf's invasion this time. As shown in the trailers, the Amazons, the Atlanteans, and hell, everyone on Earth has gone through so much loss. So feeling that now makes the motivation for our characters fighting that much stronger. The look of the overall film is ridiculously better than the previous version too. I mean, the CGI, for instance, I mean, it definitely stepped it up a notch. And the lighting overall, this made the scenes a lot less cartoony. But I do think Zack Snyder's trying to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, with this like full frame aspect ratio. I know on HBO Max they said it's 4:3, but realistically it's the size of a film negative. It's a square, and I get that, but do you really care about seeing an extra inch or two on screen? I don't really get it, but hey, he's the director, right? The editing, everything feels a lot more whole in my opinion. Scenes flow together pretty damn well. One thing that always threw me off in the original Justice League cut was when they go to resurrect Superman, they go in at night, and they're in Superman's ship for about 3 minutes, and then when he bursts out, it's daylight all of a sudden. Well, with all the lighting and CGI work and editing work done, they're in Superman's ship for a lot longer. And when Superman comes out, you can see that it's like just starting to have the sun peek out. Like it's still slightly dark. So, I mean, that makes a lot more sense now. Overall, this is definitely the definitive version of the two films, in my opinion. I think people are going to be watching this one from now on. And honestly, in a year or so, you probably won't even be able to get your hands on Joss Whedon's version. Who knows? I wanted to take some time to talk about our characters in the League, their worlds they're a part of, and the new changes we see in this film with them. So Clark Kent, Superman. When the League is talking about resurrecting him, Flash paints him as his hero, which is great because you get a sense of idolization, and that makes more of a motivation to bring him back, for Barry at least. You remember multiple scenes in Whedon's Justice League where he's talking about Superman being a beacon of hope? Most of those lines are gone now, and thank God too, because when I heard that from him and multiple other people in the previous movie, I was like, I'm pretty sure the people of the world were divided on the subject of Superman. So I'm glad continuity-wise, Zack Snyder's Justice League Superman Makes more sense now. So Superman, after we see his resurrection, you see the scene where he kind of gets more humanized when he sees Lois, right? And this scene actually really pays off because with all the other added extra scenes in here, you see that premonition that Bruce Wayne had, the vision in Batman vs. Superman when he saw Flash, and he's like, Lois Lane is the key. Lois is the reason Superman becomes himself again, and their love for each other is better depicted in this version too. Lois Lane is an all-around good person. I mean, think about it. Through all the tragedy she's been through, in this version of the film, she's still over here bringing coffee to the boys in blue every morning. It's the little things that show you how much of a good person she is. Moving on to Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. The version we see in this film is pretty similar to Whedon's version, I'm not gonna lie. He throws a few more F-bombs around and he has a few different pieces of tech, but honestly, not being too different isn't a bad thing. Although we do get to see Bruce Wayne not only using his money to get what he wants, but we get to see him speaking another language to Arthur Curry's Aquaman. I mean, is there anything that this guy can't do? Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman. So the introduction to her character in this movie, the bang scene. Instead of being a goofy scene where a hero foils a robbery, it feels like a life and death hostage situation now. After she saves the day, she's checking on everyone, you know, make sure they're all right, just ensuring their safety. It just feels a lot more heroic to me. The CGI visuals on Themyscira have improved too. I mean, just the Steppenwolf invasion alone, all the scenes shown there look a lot less green screeny. Speaking of Themyscira, the women in this movie when they're shown, the Amazonian warriors, how tough they are really shows. I mean, regardless, they do lose in the end and Steppenwolf gets the mother box, but they put a hell of a lot more fight into this one than they did in Whedon's cut. So my favorite part in Whedon's version is actually still my favorite part in this version. Victor Stone, aka Cyborg. We see a lot more of Victor Stone's backstory, and I personally got a lot more emotionally invested in his character this time around. His dad was kind of a shitty person. I mean, he wasn't really there for his son, but regardless of his work getting in the way, he still loved his family. Let's face it, Victor's dad was an important part of this film, and if it weren't for him at the end of the movie, the Justice League probably would have lost. We get to see all of Cyborg's new tech powers too, interfacing with different machines, rebuilding electronics. I'm loving it. A vast improvement over the original Whedon film, and it wasn't even bad in the first place, but Arthur Curry, Aquaman. In this depiction, he's more reluctant. His evolution as a character is just all around more impactful in Zack Snyder's version, and seeing how much he grows in this really translates well to who he is at the beginning of the 2018 solo film. That line where Bruce Wayne's talking to Arthur, he's like, I hear you can talk to fish. That's edited out. And for me personally, I didn't really care if those lines were in or out of the movie, so okay. You remember that scene in the original movie where Aquaman surfs a parademon and just slams him through a building and comes down and like whips his hair back? He doesn't look like a PS2 cutscene now. It's done so much better, especially with the lighting. You think little things like that wouldn't bother me, but seeing what the standard is for CGI today, it gets to you after a while. And lastly, Mira is a lot more badass in this version. Despite people's opinions on Amber Heard, you can't deny her character seems much different in this movie than in Aquaman. I really hope they do this third Justice League movie they're talking about. Zack Snyder originally said he wanted to plan like a Lord of the Rings type trilogy, BVS, Justice League, and whatever the hell the third Justice League movie would be. Now, I did say Cyborg was my favorite character and part of this film, but can we talk about freaking Barry Allen, the Flash in this one? He's also vastly improved as a character. Right when you see him use his speed, you see his shoes melting away. The visuals for him were insane. He runs normally too this time around because obviously in the previous version, and I've stated this a bunch of times, he's just figure skating and doing this weird thing, and I don't know what he was doing with his arms, but it was just awkward. He's still the comedic relief in this movie, but it is balanced out with a bit of severity because he holds a lot of burdens of his past. You know, living up to what his dad wants him to be, and Barry struggling with his personal demons, like trying to become a hero. Because in this version, he still is a slightly sloppy Flash. Although they did take out one part of dialogue I really miss. It's the scene where Barry's talking to the rest of the league. He's like, that's great, you guys seem ready to do battle and stuff, but I've never done battle. I just push some people and run away. I really like that because that showed me that he wasn't an expert and he's still inexperienced at this kind of thing. I guess it slightly makes sense because in this version, towards the end of the film, it seems like he's starting to master his craft, so maybe that would have been a little bit inconsistent. His character is just filled with so much wonder. You see him walk into the Batcave, he's like, oh man, like this is cool. I mean, Let's be honest, that's how we would all be, right? There's also some new powers we see with Barry in this film. How his speed is depicted, I mean. In the third act, holy crap, there's something so ridiculously cool he does that I'm definitely just going to do a spoilers review of this or discussion somewhere along the road. Wait for that. Finally, let's talk about our villains of the movie. It's very clear that Steppenwolf's armor and CGI looked all around better. The villain aspect as a whole has improved too. What I mean by that now is Steppenwolf has multiple layers. He's scared, just plain scared he won't live up to the expectations of his leader, Darkseid. Darkseid is definitely depicted as the Thanos of the DC universe in this movie, and I'm here for it. And he's used sparingly enough in this film to still have DC fans clamoring for his return. Also, one last thing. During the final battle of the film, you see these parademons have defense measures put in place. Like this time around, we see multiple mounted turrets they have placed around their stronghold. I mean, it looks like they were somewhat expecting the League, right? That's just smart. I know you guys keep hearing how much I love this film, but did it have some negatives? Yeah, I think so I'll just get into them. Most of them are personal gripes though. Like there's a scene in the beginning where you see a truck driver going through Central City and he's eating a burger that says Burger Shop on it. I mean, you're in Central City. I think it would be pretty good product placement for a Big Belly burger, right? And I'm a huge K-pop fan, so why did you take the Blackpink song out of the scene where Bruce Wayne and Barry Allen meet? I mean, I know Ezra Miller specifically wanted that song in the film. I did rave about the CGI, and most of it looks fantastic. There's a few scenes that's still like, but that's with any movie, right? And we do encounter some continuity issues. One, Mira in this film has a British accent, so I guess that doesn't translate over well, although I do know that the continuity between Whedon's version and this version is two separate universes, apparently. And Volko, Willem Dafoe's character, he's got a lot longer hair. I mean, I guess they could just retcon that in the 2018 film by saying, like, oh yeah, he got a haircut. Lastly, I missed the Pet Sematary references Barry Allen would make in the Whedon version. I mean, wouldn't you be worried that if you're resurrecting Superman, that he might come back evil? So final thoughts on this? All in all, this superheroic team-up feels bigger and better than ever. The scene where Aquaman and Wonder Woman are talking in the cemetery, this really shows us how overall each team member helps one another evolve as people, and having that open mind in the end is what bonds them as a group. I loved all the new action sequences too. Just little bits like Aquaman and Cyborg teaming up to create like a wave of sonic energy. That was just badass. We get more powers displayed by everyone in the League, and the best part, in my opinion, of this new film, Bruce Wayne is in the Batmobile, and we see our other 4 team members charging forward with epic music playing. That was fucking empowering as hell. This movie is DC fans' Avengers film, so to speak. It's everything we wanted as fans in the first place. At the end of this movie, Jesus Christ, such a powerful and epic film, and they top it off with saying being dedicated to Autumn, his daughter who passed away. I wish I saw this in theaters because you know everyone in that theater would have given it a standing ovation. 4 hours and 2 minutes long, minus 9 minutes, so to speak, of credits, and you could have taken away a minute of title cards, so 3 hours and 52 minutes long. Regardless of its length though, I could definitely watch this over and over again because let's face it, I probably missed some little Easter eggs here or there. Also worth noting, there is no end credits scene this time around, so you guys don't have to worry. No waiting till the end. New characters, new soundtrack, new scenes, but hell, screw it. This is a totally new and separate film from what we saw previously. Zack Snyder's Justice League gets a 9.5 out of 10.